Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Game Discussion. So today we are going to be revisiting a video that I made a while back and redo it since my editing and audio quality has improved over time. That topic being to the appeal of video games for most people. And you know why I at least play them personally, and perhaps I can make a case for people who just assume that there is nothing good about them to give them a shot. Now, I can only speak for myself about certain things, but I can use things that everyone goes through to help my standing on my reasoning. And this video is going to likely have 3 segments, me talking about the case against video games first, then I'll be addressing that case, and then I will build my own case for video games. So let us begin, starting with the case against video games. So to hear out a lot of people who are against video games, some claim that apparently too much of the activity can have a negative impact on people. Some saying that it could very well attest to the growing obesity in the youth. Others saying that playing video games that show violent imagery and subjecting oneself to that for an extended period of time can make someone violent. Now, before we as gamers get angry, let's at least hear them out. And, you know, yes, I'm positive that if we all one did was play video games in their free time and did not take the time to properly exercise and watch their diet, it is highly likely that, yes, they could very well become obese. And on the topic of violence, I can understand why most people may think that because, again, without getting emotional, because, listen, guys, we should always be willing to hear the other side out and try and use their logic against them if we do indeed have a disagreement with it. You know, instead of immediately dismissing them, we have to at least hear out their logic. That is the best course of action to take. So yes, in regards to the topic of violence, yes, there are indeed some scenes in video games that could get very, very graphic and very, very violent. So I do understand that, but those are really the main points that I hear a lot. So let me start addressing the case against the video games. Addressing the case against the video games, yeah. So first and foremost, I do not like the way that they handle these kinds of things, and I don't like the way that I handled this previously when I did record the video, because I feel like I got too emotional and I did not form a really solid argument. I feel like it was just me whining more than anything, which is why I'd like to redo this and why I am redoing this. But addressing the risk of obesity, yes, sitting at home for extended periods of time without actually taking the time to watch what you eat and watch what you do with your free time, you know, can in fact turn you into this. However, that isn't something that we should limit to just gaming, as any activity involving minimal physical activity for extended periods of time can result in the risk of weight gain. However, in regards to the violent video games equating to violent people, one can see the contradiction if we take a look at culture as a whole, particularly Western culture, considering that this is where the argument usually is really, really grounded in. I mean, recently I did a video that got removed because it went against community guidelines, despite the fact that it only showed footage that you can find right here on YouTube, and they were pretty much all for everyone to see. It wasn't age restricted or anything, and yet when I did it, it got age restricted. You know, are we to pretty much say that one form of media is the only form that has an impact on people? You know, when we look at movies like Saw, for example, they show extreme levels of violence and gore, yet the films are praised and viewed by millions. Not only did it make past film review, but its scores are some of the highest ratings of any horror film. And when we take into account what was shown in the film, why is there no crackdown on the horror industry as a whole? Not just looking at Saw, but a lot of horror movies. Why is there no crackdown on it? Considering that horror films are usually horrific not just because of jump scares, but also due to the graphic scenes in which people are killed, yet it's a very, very successful film industry, despite it being pretty much a blatant mirror of what people like to label a violent video game as. Now that that argument about the against video games is out of the way, let's get into the argument for video games. So whether you like it or not, there is an appeal to video games, otherwise no one would really be playing them. One could consider them to be the evolved form of games back in the day, so it's no surprise that they are going to be popular, especially amongst the youth. We as humans have short attention spans, and if you've made it this far into the video, I hope I've done well to keep yours, but that is why we make ways to entertain ourselves in the form of games. But with the power of technology, we went from pretending to be superheroes to be able to play as them in video games, for example. Which I don't know about you, but to a lot of people, myself included, especially young children, this sounds a lot more appealing. Another big thing I doubt people realize is just how much of a video game how much a video game actually contrasts with the real world. You see, despite it being clearly virtual and whatnot, in life there are plenty of times where we give 110% of our effort, and we usually get like perhaps 5% of our effort back when we have done everything that we possibly can and whatnot. Whether it's been studying all week for an upcoming quiz, spending hours reading and cramming only to still be met with failure, learning about all the ins and outs of businesses before trying to open up our own, only for us to be forced to shut it down due to lack of profit. Life is full of so many instances of lack of payoff for hard work and time investment. But this is the contrast of video games, however. You see, I'm sure that you've noticed by now, in regards to Bloodborne, how fast I've upgraded my weapon and how fast I've shredded these bosses. And that is because experience and time investment in games literally always pays off. It's not something of if it will pay off, it always pays off. It is a guarantee that if you spend time, your time is going to pay off. Whether it's farming for money to buy better gear or knowing where to go to start off a lot stronger than most new players, when it comes to rewarding the time that you have invested into something, video games never disappoint. And that is personally the main appeal to video games to me. Video games allow one to experience and even create their ideal world by getting more and more powerful or simply building it, such as Minecraft for example, while also maintaining the fact that it is still a game, and so this is done in a way that is highly entertaining and interactive. So if you are new to the gaming scene, or you're hesitant of it and you feel like, well, it's bad because, you know, violent video games and whatnot, I'd implore you to look at the whole thing for what it is completely before jumping into conclusions, and don't limit it solely to video games if you are talking about it as a bad form of media. Give it a shot, because you may very well be happy to be wrong. But with that being said, this is going to conclude my case for the appeal of video games. I hope that you stuck around to the end. Also, do tell me what you think of my editing. Am I getting better? And as always, rate the video what you think it deserves. Tell me what you would like to see in the future in the comments below. Feel free to check out my amino linked in the comments, as well as my BitChute linked in the About Me page of my channel. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.